All right, Kevin, back with you for another episode of the $1 Million Relationships Podcast. And today I am here with Ryan Hawley. Ryan, welcome. So awesome to have you on the show, man.
Thanks for having me, Kevin. It's great to be here.
Absolutely. And you and I, first of all, I'm going to give a shout out to Jessica and the team over at the podcast guest platform because Jessica, for whatever reason, she's just kind of taken a liking to me in this podcast. And it's like she's always like reaching out, going, Kevin, I got somebody that you should talk with and get to know a little bit. And that's what she did with you, Ryan. She's like, check out his profile and let me know. And if you want, like, we'll set things up so you can interview him. And then you and I connected last week. And I got to tell you, Shane, what I really appreciate about you is you're just like me. You're a family guy who you just want to be a father and a husband and all that, and you just kind of have structured your business to support you in just being able to show up as that guy. And you have one of the most unique businesses that I know a lot of entrepreneurs. I don't know anybody else who does what you do. And I'm just fascinated by that. And in fact, I have talked with a couple of people about when you shared with me how the medical record thing and then I was looking on your website, how you will go and just anywhere in the world, if people need to get out of a certain place, you will go get them out of there and get them to safety. And I'm just like I said, I don't know anybody else who does what you do, right? So I am
We
just
certainly do some cool stuff.
I'm really excited to have this conversation, dig in a little bit deeper with you. And so what I want to do is I just want to start by turning it over to you so that you can give us a little bit of that background and that story and just kind of share a little bit about what you do, who you serve, what inspires you most about the work that you do. I want to start there, Ryan.
Sure, sounds good. So I'm a registered nurse by trade. I've had a fairly, we'll say, varied career as what my experiences were within nursing. So I sort of grew up within the emergency department, graduated from there to international air ambulance, transporting people all over the world. I was one of the incident commanders for the largest civilian disaster unit in North America, a team called EMAT based out of Ontario in Canada that was born out of the SARS pandemic that hit Toronto shortly after I had started nursing. And they sent out this sort of crazy email of they wanted to start a droplet precaution task force that could help in areas outside of the core Toronto area, that if they were hit with something similar, that they would have the medical resources to be able to respond to that, even without the infrastructure that Toronto has, being such a large city. So with the convergence of the international travel and the sort of ancillary work to the military with EMAT, I got to develop a lot of relationships throughout my career that helped start the company that I run now, which is Odin Industries.
Okay.
So we service the international defense base act and foreign voluntary insurance markets, and we act as sort of their pointy end of the spear or boots on the ground service to manage claims all over the world. This could be in Kosovo, this could be in Uganda, this could be in Peru, that we can help obtain their medical records. We can facilitate getting their claimants care, getting them set up with specialists. We can facilitate getting them to evacuated to facilities that are better suited to their medical needs. And we do this all over the world for insurers, assistance companies, security platforms, that on any given day we might be conducting business in 10 countries, maybe more.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. And what inspires you most about being at the helm of this company, Ryan?
I've got a remarkable team under me, that everybody that is helped make Odin the success that it has been is inspiring. That I've built a team around me that complements my skill sets, that has strengths where I have weaknesses, and that we're able to consistently deliver on behalf of our clients. That the reason we've scaled quickly is we have a team that's responsive and understands the needs of our clients, that we're small enough that we can be nimble and make decisions or pivot directions quickly,
Mhm.
and we have intentional conversations with our clients to tailor our services to meet their needs. There's nothing that Odin does that is a template that we set up and do the same service for this customer as we do for another customer, that we're able to provide white glove tailored services uniquely structured for each individual client, and that's served us very well so far.
Yeah. I love that. I mean, you and I are in such alignment when it comes to relationships, because I know through my own business endeavors, I learned years ago the value of right relationships. And for me as an entrepreneur, relationships are the most valuable asset I possess. Everything else stems from that. And you
Absolutely.
shared something really profound with me about the I think it, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was last year you got a call from somebody who wanted you to go in and, I believe, retrieve some medical records, which was something you were not doing at the time, but yet you
Well,
requested that, and that
it wasn't last year. It was a number of years ago.
oh,
But
okay.
one of our main service offerings is the retrieval of medical records. So when I started my last business prior to Odin Industries, I had started a medical repatriation firm. We had focused mostly within war zones, Iraq, Afghanistan, some areas within Western Africa, that we kind of framed the business around going places that other companies would. And we got a very serendipitous phone call to say, can you get us medical records in Chad? I said, well, I don't have a medical specialist in Chad, but I've got a friend that was in special forces that's now doing private security there. I go, he doesn't need to understand the records, he just needs to go get them. Went and did it, didn't even know how to invoice it. I was doing a client a favor, sort of what the conversation we had before, that was trying to meet the needs of a client. This
Yeah.
was a specific ask, and our sort of ethos at Odin Industries is we don't say no, we figure out a way to do it. So I said, all right, well, we'll get you those medical records. A few hours later, they asked me to do the same thing in Kampala in Uganda, and entirely new revenue line was born out of that, and it's one of our primary revenue lines as a business now. So
Wow. Wow. All because, like you said, you've got a habit of not saying no when it comes to your clients requesting your help. You figure out how you can make it possible and make it happen, and now you just added a whole new revenue stream that you didn't have before, because you're just being of
uh,
service to people.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
that's brilliant. That is awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so now that we've got a little bit of context set here, I'm going to reiterate the question for the benefit of our listeners. And so, Ryan, have you ever met or been introduced to a person or persons who completely changed the course of your life or your business, so much so that much of what you have today would not be possible if not for this person or persons? And Ryan, I'm just really excited to hear your story and your experience around this topic of relationships.
Sounds good. There's a couple of people that come to mind, and then the first is tattooed on my left arm, and that's my grandfather. That I'm a child of divorce. My dad wasn't really around much when I was a kid, and my grandfather, acted as kind of a de facto parent to me. That he taught me how to be a good man. That I saw the drive within him to succeed, and his ongoing support for me, no matter what it was that I looked to pursue. That I got to the fourth year of nursing and hadn't really, I guess, found my niche, found my passion for it, and was living with my grandparents when I had started university. And, it just hadn't really felt right. And I went over to their house in fourth year and said, I'm not sure this is for me. And he
Okay.
said, Ryan, just finish and get the piece of paper. If you don't want to be a nurse when you're done, but you've invested 3 years of your life right now, finish. And leaving right now to go do something else is foolish. Get the piece of paper. Okay, get the degree, finish it out. And despite my sort of lack of enthusiasm, in fourth year, I graduated near the top of my class
Wow.
and
Good on
had
you.
my pick of where I wanted to do my consolidation, which is sort of the last rotation that you do within a spectrum of the hospital.
Okay.
And I picked emergency, and that opened up a whole new world for me that I was passionate about. That I'm a bit of an adrenaline junkie. I like things that excite me, and emergency and trauma did that for me. That it was always that sort of adrenaline rush when you went to work, and it took something that I was struggling to find my place with, and you know, gave me an area of nursing that when I was doing bedside, I was always within the emergency room. That it was a place that really resonated with me. And Grandpa, no matter whatever I was pursuing, he was always my number one fan. That when
Wow.
I was in university, I had a weekly radio show doing drum and bass and hip hop music. Well, we are talking genres of music that my grandfather absolutely detested. And every Thursday, he logged in and listened to me on the university radio station
Wow.
just because it was
Wow.
something that I was doing. That he constantly, you know, would ask me questions about the show, and you knew he was listening because he would be able to, draw back on something that was said during the program, and we could talk about that after. And I wasn't the best kid. I was in trouble a lot, and I think if it wasn't for him, my life would have gone in a remarkably different direction than where it has.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Wow. That's
And
all.
then the second person that comes to mind is a guy by the name of Shy Gold.
Okay.
And when I started my previous business, it was leaving the safety and comfort of the hospital sector and the safety and comfort of being an employee. That every 2 weeks that your wage was coming, and you had the benefits program and all of the things that come along with somebody else signing the paycheck.
Mhm.
And had developed a business to the point that I was now on my own and responsible for my own financial future, and heading out onto the conference circuit to try and sell my wares. And that's an intimidating thing as an entrepreneur at the start, that you don't know the people, you haven't developed any relationships, and going out to try and scratch and claw a piece of market share without having those relationships is a tough thing. And
Mhm.
Shy's one of the people that was first to extend a hand to me. Well, was one of the first to make introductions within the industry to me, and is somebody to this day that I can call if I've got a problem, be it with the running of the business, with the hiring of a personnel, or solving a problem in a country where I might not have a strong relationship. He's someone to this day I can make a phone call and go, "Do you know somebody here? Can you make an introduction?" And he, without question, will drop what he's doing and make that introduction. I I used him probably within the last week to help facilitate a case in Panama. That he does a lot of consulting within Panama hospitals. I needed something pretty specific done, and he made an introduction to a doctor that was able to accomplish that for me. And that was, as I say, within the last 3 to 5 days, probably.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Wow. It's so interesting because what you just shared with in regard to both Shy and your grandpa is just such a testament to the power. of relationships, which is what this is all about. How long have you and Shai been acquainted and known each other?
I met him in 2016, so
Two.
we're
Okay. Okay.
it's been about 8 years, I guess,
Yeah.
7 8.
Yeah. And so you're 8 years into that relationship now. So if you look, so you just gave just a beautiful example of just how he was able to help you just in the last week and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm curious, and again, we'll just see what comes up for you here. But if you look, well, we can look at either the relationship with your grandfather or the relationship that you have with Shai. If you look at either one of these two relationships, I want to
Mm-hmm.
look at like a situation where you personally got to make a really substantial impact. And you also know, hands down, that would have never happened if not for the relationship with your grandpa or the relationship with you and Shadi.
Well, as I say, the story that I told about Grandpa with wanting to leave school, if that particular story hadn't have happened, none of the rest of this life would have happened.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
if I hadn't have finished the nursing degree and got RN at the end of my name, there would be no Odin Industries. We wouldn't be getting medical records across the world. We wouldn't be doing medical evacuations. I wouldn't be facilitating care for anybody. God knows what I would be doing, but the life that I've been fortunate enough to live to this point wouldn't have been possible without that particular story.
Isn't that phenomenal to think about? That he encouraged you, hey, just finish what you started. Get the
Mm-hmm.
piece of paper and just follow this thing through. And if it's not for you, great, but finish what you started, kind of thing. You know. And like you said, look at what has come from that stuff you could have never even imagined in your wildest dreams back at that point in time. you know. And
Certainly at that point in my life, I never thought I would have, the disclaimer of CEO after my name and
isn't that something?
have traveled the world the way in which I have, and, be fortunate enough to doing things like this where, my life has brought me to the point that other people are interested in listening to my story.
Yeah, well,
Mm-hmm.
it's fascinating for sure. And you in our first conversation, how many countries have you visited?
142.
142. I don't know too many people that have visited 142 countries, and that in itself is fascinating. But beyond that, you made a comment in our conversation that really stuck with me. That after being in 142 countries and just interacting with
Mm-hmm.
people in all of those countries, you made the comment, Kev, the picture that they paint in media and this divisiveness, he's like, it's just not reality from what I've seen. What I have seen in all my travels is that people are good people.
Mm-hmm.
And I've even said, I've had a couple conversations around that because it made such an impression on me and stuff.
Travel's a cure for racism.
Yeah.
That getting out of the areas that you're comfortable in experiencing the world shows you that we're a lot more alike than we are different.
Yeah.
There are certain things that we're not going to agree on, be it religion, be it certain customs, but on the whole, it doesn't matter what culture, what country, where you are, we're more alike than we are different.
Yeah.
And everybody on this earth has got something of value. And I would encourage anybody to travel as much as they are financially able to do so.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Well, Ryan, I really appreciate you taking the time to have this conversation. For anybody that's listening into this going, yeah, Kev, you're right. Ryan's a pretty fascinating guy. And is there how can they find out more information on you, what you're doing, any websites, any resources that we can share with
Sure.
them?
The website for Odin Industries is odinindustries.llc.com.
Okay.
We can be found on Instagram at Odin_industries.
Okay.
I personally can be found at Odin_CEO on Instagram.
Okay.
Our Facebook and Instagram content are identical, I believe. So pick whichever platform you're more comfortable with, and you'll
Oh,
see the same content at each. I can be found. I can be found on LinkedIn, and the easiest way to get in touch with us with regards to work or things like that is the operations team, and it's staffed 24 hours a day, and it's operations at odinindustries.llc.com.
perfect.
Whatever the inquiry is, somebody can send that out, and somebody will get back to them in short order.
Okay. Very good. Well, once again, Ryan, I really appreciate you taking the time to have this conversation. Any last thing that you feel led to share before we call it a wrap?
No, I think this was great. I very much thank you for having me, and I appreciate being here and hope we can do it again soon.
Yeah. Well, I really appreciate it. And I'm excited to get this out there and share with a lot of other entrepreneurs. So thanks again.